What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today some of you might have noticed that my schedule is just a little messed up, which is because I really had to allow myself to rest a little bit. And also on another note, today is the last day that you will see me with short hair because there's new hair incoming, but I'm not going to get too much into it and babble too much because if not we're never gonna get to this video, which today we're watching 10 things you only notice about America after leaving. Without further ado, let's see what this video is about.
When I first moved abroad a little over 3 years ago, I started to see my own country much differently. Things that felt very normal growing up suddenly felt like, oh, that's a very American thing. After spending 2 years in Korea and this past year bouncing around Europe and the Middle East, coming back to America even just for a couple of months felt a lot more foreign than I expected. While I absolutely love coming back and visiting family and friends and seeing all the nature and visiting old spots that I used to go to, there are things that became obvious to me only after leaving the US. There are way more than I could count in this video, but I will start with 10 reasons. First of all,
Wow.
Everything is massive. The roads are huge, the grocery stores look like storage units, the portions are insane.
Oh, and dozens of versions of the exact same product.
I mean, how many options of laundry detergent are there?
And at first, coming back to it,
I love that though, but going to the grocery store would take me like 5 hours instead of 30 minutes because I would have to go through all the options and think too much. I'm not very good at deciding.
it feels very fun, you know? You're like, oh my god, wow, freedom, options, abundance. Why does, just a simple product like toothpaste need its own football field? But to be honest, it feels less like convenience and more just feels like everything is being optimized for you to shop more, buy more, spend more money. And it's not really random that everything in America is so big. America's history and its landscape shape this idea that more is better. And so bigger homes, bigger cars, bigger products are all more of a national identity rather than a practical choice. And especially since the end of World War II, our economy has been dependent upon this idea of consumerism. We are sold this idea that consumerism means we are happier and better off.
Well, I'd say the solution isn't working out quite as well.
But I feel like even though America would have like more choices in a grocery store, I think every country is kind of like, it's the whole world that's kind of leaning into this, especially now with like all the online stuff. Not saying that I buy anything online ever, especially not from Temu. I mean, me, but so it's something that's getting popular all over the world. So I don't really see it as like, America's trying to push it more than others because it's an issue.
As we imagined, but moving on.
2, driving culture. America has a long-winded history with the automobile. And unless you're living in select US cities, a lot of your day is going from your home to your car to your destination.
I made it to my destination, aka the mall.
To your car to your home. You want groceries, you drive. You want to meet up with a friend, you drive. You want to exist, you drive. And in some ways I'm a bit lucky because I've never had to own a car. I walked to school growing up, and then I went to college in San Francisco, where you don't really need a car. And then I moved to Korea, where public transit is affordable and ubiquitous and basically the main form of getting place to place for most of the population. And so I basically skipped the whole like needing to drive at 16 American experience. And when I come back and I let people know I'm kind of scared to drive on the highway or I just don't want to use the car, people are really bewildered by this. But for most people, driving is not really a choice. Like, we just don't have the...
Driving in America though looks so chill with the roads like that wide and big. Like, looks like it would be way easier. You should see what it's like to drive here. It's not fun. You can't, like, the streets are so small you can barely fit your car in there. So I think I would feel even more comfortable driving somewhere that's spacious than driving here. But it's true, here you don't really need a car. But then again, here the public transport, at least where I'm living, is so filled to the brim that's, for example, why I got a car, because I used to go to work to another city and I didn't want to use the public transport because it was always cramped, just uncomfortable, not very, So when I had the chance to get my driver's license, I got it, and also to be able to like move more. But it's true that you can go with public transportation almost everywhere, and you don't really need a car. And I have a bunch of friends, not bunch of friends, but a bunch of people I know that are my age that don't own a driver's license or a car.
Infrastructure to support public transit.
Let's take a moment and look at the high-speed rail maps of Europe, China, Japan, South Korea, and USA. Because we don't have a high-speed rail system at all.
And these days, a lot of millennials and Gen Z are less reliant on cars for a variety of reasons, like environmental reasons and costs, and people are moving to cities, but still cars are a huge part of our national identity and a lot of people's personal identity.
There are a number of American food items that are just hilarious to me now. So while walking through the grocery store, I'm just going to point out some of them. For one, white bread tasting like cake. It is really that sweet. I used to eat peanut butter every single day, and I didn't realize how American it was until I realized that you can't find it in most places around the world. And as you can see, I'm not the only one that enjoys peanut butter. This stuff,
You guys would be mind boggled. It's hard to find peanut butter here. I found peanut butter in like when I was doing the Thanksgiving thing, because I went to like the biggest grocery store ever, but peanut butter is not nearly sold anywhere.
ranch, we put this baby on literally any salad. Like any public gathering salad is almost guaranteed to have this dressing on it. And as always, we have no shortage of ranch options. Y'all know what it is, a college student's favorite. Mac and cheese. Also, this was not a thing when I was growing up, but there has been a massive increase in the market of caffeinated energy drinks. There's always been Monster, but now there's an entire market for it. Beef jerky, microwavable popcorn, frozen, packaged meals. And I think the reasoning for that is because many Americans just don't live right next to a grocery store.
There's a lot of frozen packaged meals here as well. I don't mind them. I buy.
Like a lot of people have to drive 20 minutes or more to get to a grocery store. And so unlike a lot of Europeans, we do not go to the grocery store every single day to get fresh items. We also just have such a
That's kind of true though. If I need something like some fruits or veggies, I just walk downstairs and that's it.
massive baking section and so many packaged goods, to the extent that there are dozens of ingredients that are allowed in the US foods that we eat every day that are banned in the EU and many other countries.
Healthcare in America is wild, and honestly, I am afraid to interact with it. In Korea, I would go to the doctor for small stuff. I would go there for an appointment and then to get some medicine. And in total, it literally costs $4. $4. There is nothing medical in America that would cost $4 or even 40 or even 100. Everything is hundreds or thousands of dollars. I mean, healthcare in America is just so obscenely expensive. It blows my mind. Someone I know got a bad sunburn once, and so she was called to the ER. It costs $10,000. $10,000 for one ER visit for a bad sunburn.
What?
Let alone, costs for treating cancer or a lot bigger surgeries and things like this.
No. I do not like that much. I mean, we made a video about this and you guys explained it very well. But and that there's, you can have your private healthcare insurance and so on, which then you won't have to pay these costs. But wow. I've never had a health insurance, I don't think. And I've had to go to the doctors many times, and it's always been free. Not free, you'll know it comes from the tax money, yes, but free for me.
And when I was explaining the Korean healthcare system to my friends and family at first, some of them were like, oh, so it's like urgent care. Like you can just make an appointment on the same day and then you can go in and get treated. And I was like, no, this is just how it works.
I will just sum this section up by saying we as a country are very resistant to government-funded solutions by taxation.
I don't know exactly where this stems from, but I think part of it is our fear of having to interact with our healthcare system and also America's history of being very unhealthy, and so people wanting to become healthy. But, when I first got back and I went into just a normal grocery store, I saw protein everything.
Y'all, we got protein popcorn, we've got protein coffee, we have protein chips, we have protein marshmallow cereal, protein soda, protein water. Literally protein water.
And then there's the $50 Pilates classes and the green powders and the supplements. And oh, you've seen those Erewhon hauls on TikTok maybe. Just being healthy here, it seems like something that you can buy. And in a lot of countries, you see, healthy stuff, but it's not packaged as optimization like it is in America.
I
don't want to disagree with everything she says, but I just want to be real. Like, I feel like this is something that happens also here. We have protein, everything. I mean, I have a protein milkshake in the fridge. I don't even know what it has. It's like in a bottle like this, but it just says protein. Feels healthy to me. I don't know. I bought it. And also, yes, health is in a way, it's something that you can buy because, I mean, gym memberships and all of that is pretty expensive. I mean, you can also work out at home, but I mean, it helps, but yeah, I get it, like the marketing, and all of that, and you don't have to, like, you can buy healthy stuff without it having to be like optimized for health. But I don't know, I don't find that odd. I feel like that happens here as well.
just got to the mall and I see this. What kind of marketing is this? Is this necessary? Nothing wrong with smoothie bowls and all, but also like these juice shots that are literally $4 a piece.
It's called marketing.
Like, I swear this stuff is just not normal.
I do take these sometimes, like the ginger ones and curcuma ones, because they're good for your immunity, supposedly. But that's expensive.
$4 a piece. Like, I swear this stuff is just not normal in other places.
To be clear, I'm not against the US wellness industry, but it is $2 trillion, which is twice the size of China's, which comes in second place, and 6 times the size of Germany's, which comes in third.
And you might say that a lot of this stuff is optional, participating in this healthy culture. But to be honest, just being like a normal level of healthy requires a lot. It requires time and money and a safe place to walk and health insurance and a job that lets you sleep. There are just a lot of socioeconomic factors at play. And I would argue that in Seoul or Tokyo or Amsterdam or Paris, eating vegetables and walking is not a healthy lifestyle. It's just normal life. But in a lot of places in America, there aren't even produce options at the grocery store.
I feel attacked. Okay, I eat vegetables and I walk sometimes. Am I not healthy? I'm actually not. I should probably go to the gym.
And there is gun violence in your own neighborhood, so you can't walk around. And going to the doctor costs hundreds of dollars. And so I think it's hard to be healthy in America inherently. And so this is why you have to buy your way into health. Education has become a business.
Saying that people can't walk on the street because there's gun violence as a whole in America sounded very bad. I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't know if I'm I'm probably supposed to agree with most of these points, but I'm just being real. Like that didn't sound very nice. And there's plenty of places in America where you can go walk, and there's plenty of parks and nature things. And I feel like I would walk more in America than here. Like, I don't know. I do get her points though, and I respect it, but I just feel like I slightly disagree with maybe the wording.
The cost of education is wild here, especially universities. An in-state public university will usually cost between $10,000 to $12,000 a year. And for private universities, it's at least $40,000 per year. And when you add housing and food and books, it can usually be between $25,000 to $60,000 a year. And so what people do is they take out loans. Like the average student takes out $30,000 to $40,000 in loans. It is just wild to me that something as basic as education comes with decades of financial consequence. And unlike places where universities are very cheap or even free, like Germany and Korea, the default assumption here is that tuition goes up year by year and students take out more and more loans, and The cycle just continues. Let alone in 2026, most degrees are not directly leading to jobs. Education is becoming less about access to knowledge and more about what can be charged as a product. And so I honestly wouldn't be surprised that in future decades, either enrollment in higher level institutions goes down because of this, if tuition doesn't decrease, or if more people start going abroad because it's just so much cheaper for probably a very similar or equal level of, quality in education. Americans take their personal space and privacy very...
I don't know. Where does America lie when it comes to quality of education? I mean, it has some of the highest rated universities in the whole world, no? I feel like Finnish education system is pretty high up as well. Finland's educational system, I think, is one of the best in the world. I'm not trying to toot or horn here, but I think
very seriously, and there are a couple reasons for this. First of all, independence and autonomy are a huge part of our value system, and so a lot of people see what their space is as theirs. Like even the car, a lot of people really like driving in their car because it is their space. Nobody can enter without permission. And unlike countries like Hong Kong or China or Korea, we are not packed like sardines here. Even the biggest cities, not nearly as dense. And so this is why I think standing too close to somebody in a conversation feels weird, or bumping into somebody can feel rude. Like I was taught these things as a kid that this is rude to do this to people, but in many countries it's just normal. I think this is also a reason why Americans tend to speak very loudly. We just fill our personal bubbles with our voice. There's that stereotype of Americans going to other countries and being the loudest ones there, and I think there's a bit of truth to that stereotype. I took this college class on the commons and how America has so little of these. And the commons are just basically like third spaces. So your first space being your home and your second space being your work. And the third spaces are just places, like public places where people can join for community and relaxation and connection, like parks or cafes or libraries. But more and more, these places in America are really decreasing in quantity. Like in Korea, because most apartments are very small, almost nobody goes to other people's apartments to meet up or other people's homes to meet up. Almost always it happens at a cafe or a bar or a park. It's basically a public place. And I personally really enjoyed that. But I think in America we are used...
I feel like this also changed a lot during the COVID time. A lot of people stopped going out as much. My home has become my workplace, my normal place and my hangout place. But yeah.
To seeing our personal space as ours. I was only introduced to this concept a couple of months ago, but somebody was explaining to me about how some cultures are coconut cultures and some cultures are peach cultures. People in coconut cultures tend to be hard to crack at first, but then once you're in, these connections are very deep and long-lasting. So these might be countries like Germany, France, Russia, Japan, Korea. And by contrast, in peach cultures, people tend to be very warm and friendly at first, but really, true trust and emotional closeness will be harder than you expect. So amongst countries like Australia and Canada, the US falls into this category. We have a very, very broad definition of friend. I grew up and people that I had only met a couple of times, even just through class, I would call them my friend.
Yeah, I do that too. I do that all the time. I'm just like, I have friends. I've talked to this person maybe once in my lifetime to say hello.
Because they're not really just an acquaintance. An acquaintance is more just like somebody you merely know. But are they really like my friend? In that aspect, I would just have hundreds and hundreds of friends. But as I've spent time in other countries, I just feel like we don't have a good word for something in between an acquaintance and a friend. I've met a lot of Europeans who comment on how shallow Americans can be. And I don't think that this is the full story. I think there's a lot more nuance to it, but I think it says something about how we tend to be very friendly and outgoing at first, even if it is just surface level. And to be honest, in the end, I don't think that there's a better or worse way of connecting with people. It just differs from culture to culture. I just like being in countries where I don't have to worry about getting shot. Yeah, American statistics on safety are not great. In Korea, I would just walk back from the bus stop or the convenience store at 2 a.m. and I had zero worries. And in America, I mean, people are afraid of going to school. Gun violence is still the leading cause of death.
This is very interesting to hear from an American, you know, because I obviously at first, when you think about it, for me as a European, it's like, what? Like, how is this even real life? Like, how can you have firearms in your house? And then after like kind of hearing and learning and all of that, it's come to a point where I'm not worried at all. Like, it's kind of like, you know what, it's just a part of normal life. But I wouldn't imagine, you know, living there and being scared to walk at night. But now that I hear it from an American, it makes me like slightly concerned, you know. But
For kids and teenagers ages 0 to 19, 2026, Second Amendment needs to be abolished.
Maybe abolished is a strong word, but I do think a law written hundreds of years ago shouldn't be untouchable in a world of AR-15s and billion-dollar gun lobbying.
Of course, you know, I tip, and when I was working as a barista, I really enjoyed tips. Like, a lot of your salary comes from tips.
please don't fight in the comments, okay? No need to fight in the comments. Everybody, you know, respect each other's opinions. You can leave your thoughts in the comments, but we're not here on my channel to change the world today.
Even as a barista, not just like a waiter or waitress, which get a lot more in tips. But to me, it's crazy how the consumer has to be responsible for a lot of the worker's salary. Like, what is up with that? I think it's just time to put it on the employer. But also, this really explains why American service workers tend to be very cheerful. Like, oh my God, hi, how are you? Because they're kind of being paid to do that. And I think when Americans go abroad, a lot of times we comment on how the staff can be a bit rude or, you know, not so friendly, but really they're just like not being paid to do that. So why do they need to put in the extra intentional effort to be extra joyful and cheerful? You know, they're just doing their job. I do think that living abroad has made me realize what I value and what I don't value. And it's just made me realize things that I had never paid attention to before. I think it has also made me somewhat less ideological. Like, a lot of political and cultural arguments in the US feel very big when you are inside them and when you're inside America. But then when these issues get brought up when I'm in other countries, they just seem like such American problems. I think our news tends to be very America-centric. Basically, I think being outside of America has made me appreciate the US even more. And in some ways, it's made me more embarrassed and concerned about this country.
And before you say, wow, Julia, you just bashed on the US in this video, you must hate it. I don't. I really don't. I actually love it. And that's why I think about it this way.
When I
Embarrassed is maybe not the best word to use, but I get it. But she seems very sweet. And it's good to be concerned. I mean, it's good to think about, you know, what's going on in your country and, you know, realize, and also, you know, to see differences. But yeah, I found that pretty interesting. Thank you guys for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think about my opinions. Am I wrong for not agreeing with everything, or how do you feel about it? And yeah, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!